Welcome to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries. Book, It's Okay Not to Be Okay. Moving Forward, One Day at a Time, by Sheila Walsh. Life doesn't always go the way we expect. It breaks us, shakes us, leaves us questioning everything we thought we knew about ourselves. And if you're honest, if you dare to admit it, there are days when you feel like you're barely holding on. Here's the truth. It's okay not to be okay. Not just sometimes, not just in quiet moments, but right now, exactly where you are. Sheila Walsh invites you to stop pretending. Stop wearing the mask of everything's fine. Because real courage begins when you face the cracks in your heart, admit your pain, and let yourself feel. And then, something extraordinary happens. Step by step, day by day, you begin to rise again. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in tiny, deliberate choices, taking a breath, forgiving yourself, reaching out, or simply choosing hope when it feels impossible. Every small step forward is proof that you are stronger than you think, proof that brokenness is not the end of your story. But the journey doesn't stop there. The deepest freedom comes when you discover grace, the unshakable love that meets you in your mess, the power that transforms fear into courage, pain into purpose, and weakness into strength. Grace reminds you that you are never alone, and that your story is far bigger than any single moment of struggle. So hear this loud and clear. You don't have to be perfect to move forward. You don't have to have it all figured out to be brave. You just have to start, one day, one choice, one breath at a time. Because in the honesty of your heart, in the courage of your steps, and in the freedom of grace, you will find what you've been searching for all along: strength, hope, and the power to live fully, even when life isn't okay. Part 1. Facing the Truth, the Beginning of Healing. There comes a moment in every life when the mask begins to crack. When the smile that once hid the pain starts to tremble. When we realize that no amount of pretending can silence the ache within our hearts. That, my dear friend, is where Sheila Walsh begins. Not in the polished perfection of a neatly packaged life, but in the raw, trembling truth that it's okay not to be okay. She invites us to exhale, to stop striving, stop faking, stop wearing the costume of strength that society demands we wear. Because the truth is, life can break us open, and pretending otherwise only deepens the fracture. In this first part, Walsh dismantles the lie that faith or success means we must always have it all together. She says, no more masks, no more rehearsed prayers. No more walking through the storm as if the wind cannot touch us. This section of the book is an awakening, a deep, soul-level invitation to honesty. Walsh reflects on her own battles with depression, shame, and broken dreams. She speaks not from a pedestal, but from the trenches, where tears stain the floor and faith feels fragile. Her message is both tender and revolutionary. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You don't need to be whole to be worthy. She uses her story as a bridge between despair and hope, between faith and doubt, between the woman who's crumbling and the one who's still trying to rise. Through her vulnerability, Walsh gives permission to the reader to whisper what they've been too afraid to say. I'm not okay. And rather than offering quick fixes, she offers something far more powerful: presence. The reminder that God does not stand apart from our pain, but walks with us through it, step by step, day by day. She teaches that healing begins not with doing, but with being. Being honest, being present, being real. And it's in this honesty that the cracks in our hearts become the very places where light enters. Walsh doesn't minimize pain, she honors it. She reminds us that tears are not a sign of weakness, but evidence of life, courage, and hope still beating within. She also urges us to release the exhausting pursuit of perfection, the perfect faith, the perfect family, the perfect plan, because perfection is an illusion, one that isolates us and steals our joy. Instead, she calls us to the sacred practice of progress, small, steady, grace-filled steps forward. Healing, she says, doesn't happen in a single miraculous leap. It happens in moments, in the choosing, the believing, the daring to hope again. In part 1, we come face to face with a gentle but profound truth. The goal isn't to never fall apart. It's to know you're loved even when you do. Walsh paints the picture of a God who doesn't wait for you to clean up your mess, but who kneels beside you in it. The message is as simple as it is radical. You don't have to fix yourself to be loved. You are loved, therefore you can begin to heal. The first part of this journey, then, is not about moving on quickly. It's about pausing long enough to let grace find you. It's about embracing the ache, acknowledging the exhaustion, and letting honesty become the first act of courage. And so, the reader is left with a soft but powerful invitation. Stop pretending. Start breathing. The first step toward healing is not perfection. It's permission. Part 2. Rising again. Learning to walk forward one step at a time. When the tears finally slow and the silence of the night feels unbearably loud, something sacred happens. A whisper from deep within the soul. I can't stay here forever. That whisper, trembling though it may be, is the sound of resurrection beginning. It is here that Sheila Walsh steps into the second act of her message. A tender, determined call to rise again, one small step at a time. In part 2, Walsh reminds us that healing is not an instant transformation. It's a daily, deliberate choice. A journey not of sprinting, but of steady walking. She speaks of faith not as a shield from pain, but as a bridge through it. Her words ring with both grit and grace. Moving forward doesn't mean you're over it. It means you've decided not to be defined by it. She shares her own stumbling path, how she too has walked through dark corridors of fear, doubt, and shame. But even there, she discovered something life-changing. Progress is not measured by how strong we feel, but by our willingness to keep going, even when we feel weak. In every step, no matter how hesitant, there is courage. Walsh offers a roadmap for that sacred walk forward. She teaches the power of small beginnings. Some days, healing means getting out of bed. Other days, it means forgiving yourself. And on the hardest days, it means simply breathing and remembering that God's grace is big enough for this moment too. She writes, "You don't have to see the whole path. You just have to take the next step." And that next step might be as simple as whispering a prayer through tears, writing one line of truth in a journal, or reaching out to someone who cares, because healing is rarely dramatic. It is often quiet, subtle, and tender, 1,000 small victories strung together by grace. Walsh also dismantles the myth that faith eliminates pain. Faith, she insists, doesn't erase our humanity, it anchors it. It doesn't promise smooth sailing. It promises we're not alone in the storm. The same God who wept at Lazarus's tomb now weeps with us in our losses, our disappointments, our broken dreams. In these pages, Walsh invites us to see that forward movement is not about strength, it's about surrender. To stop fighting against the pain and begin to trust that it can be transformed. She reminds us that sometimes God doesn't take away the burden. He teaches us how to carry it differently. with open hands, with lighter hearts, with faith that bends but does not break. There's a quiet beauty in her words, the kind of beauty born from survival. She writes of learning to trust again, not because life becomes easier, but because the heart becomes wiser. We learn that falling down is not failure. Failure is refusing to try again. Each time we stand, each time we choose to hope, we defy the darkness that once claimed to own us. And Walsh doesn't just speak to the wounded. She speaks to the weary, to those who are exhausted by trying to heal. She whispers a truth that changes everything. You don't have to do this perfectly. Healing is not about arriving at a spotless version of yourself. It's about meeting yourself, broken pieces and all, with compassion. In Part 2, Walsh gives readers permission to move forward imperfectly. She invites us to let grace be the rhythm of our days, to find joy in progress, not perfection, to discover that even the smallest act of courage, a prayer, a breath, a smile, is a declaration that the past will not have the final word. And through her compassionate storytelling, she shows that healing is not only possible, it's promised. The cracks in our hearts are not signs of ruin, but of resilience. They let in light. They let in love. So here in this middle passage of her journey, Sheila Walsh leaves us with a sacred challenge, one both gentle and fierce. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep showing up, because one step, no matter how small, still counts as moving forward. Part 3. Living Free, Discovering the Strength of Grace. By the time we reach this part, we have faced the truth of our pain, allowed ourselves to grieve, and taken the first tender steps forward. And now, Sheila Walsh leads us to a truth that is both simple and revolutionary. You were never meant to carry your pain alone, and you were never meant to be defined by it. Part 3 is about liberation, not a dramatic escape from hardship, but a quiet, radical freedom rooted in grace. Walsh reminds us that when we release the weight of pretending, when we stop striving for perfection and start embracing our authentic selves, we step into a new way of living. A life where hope is not a fleeting thought, but a constant companion. Here, Walsh guides us to embrace identity over circumstances. She shows us that our worth is not measured by our successes, our failures, or even the depth of our struggles. It is measured by the unshakable truth that we are loved wholly, completely, and unconditionally. And when we believe that truth, we begin to live differently. Fear loses its grip, shame fades, and courage rises to meet each new day. She speaks powerfully about the courage to let go. Letting go of expectations, letting go of guilt, letting go of the stories we tell ourselves about what we should be, because freedom is not found in control. It is found in surrender. In the surrender that allows grace to fill the spaces our striving once occupied. Walsh also emphasizes the power of daily choices. Living free is not about one miraculous moment of healing. It's about choosing every single day to step into the light rather than retreat into darkness. It's about practicing self-compassion, choosing gratitude, and extending kindness to ourselves as fiercely as we would to someone we love. Each of these choices becomes a brick in the foundation of a life rebuilt from brokenness. In Part 3, she invites us to connect, to reach out, to serve, to give back, and to let our journeys of pain and healing illuminate the path for others. Our experiences, she reminds us, are not merely our own. They become tools to bring hope, comfort, and inspiration to a hurting world. In sharing our stories, we discover the ultimate power of our vulnerability. It heals not only ourselves, but those around us. Finally, Walsh leaves us with the enduring truth of grace. It is bigger than our failures, deeper than our fears, and stronger than our doubts. By leaning into it, by trusting in it, we discover a freedom that cannot be shaken by circumstance, a hope that cannot be dimmed by hardship. And so the book ends with a whisper of encouragement. It's okay not to be okay, because grace meets us in the mess, love finds us in our brokenness, and strength rises from the places we thought we were weakest. In these final pages, the reader is left standing taller, breathing deeper, and walking lighter. Because moving forward, one day at a time, is not just an act of perseverance. It is an act of courage, hope, and love. 3 powerful takeaways from the book. Takeaway 1. Embrace your pain and be honest with yourself. Sheila Walsh teaches that healing begins with honesty, the courage to admit, I'm not okay. Pretending to be fine, masking grief, or pushing away your emotions only prolongs suffering. By facing your pain head-on, acknowledging your struggles, and giving yourself permission to feel, you open the door for true transformation. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is strength. It allows grace, hope, and healing to enter. Walsh's stories of her own struggles illustrate that embracing imperfection is the first step toward reclaiming your life. Takeaway 2. Healing happens one step at a time. Moving forward doesn't require instant fixes or monumental leaps. Walsh emphasizes the power of small, deliberate steps. Each choice to breathe, pray, reach out, forgive, or practice self-compassion counts as progress. Healing is not measured by perfection, but by persistence. Even in moments of doubt, exhaustion, or fear, choosing to continue, one day at a time, builds resilience, courage, and hope. Life's transformation is found in these tiny, consistent acts of bravery, which, over time, create profound change. Takeaway 3. Grace is the key to true freedom and strength. The ultimate message of Walsh's book is that grace is greater than failure, fear, and brokenness. By surrendering control, trusting in divine love, and allowing yourself to be embraced exactly as you are, you discover freedom. Grace turns vulnerability into power, struggle into wisdom, and pain into purpose. It also extends beyond yourself. Connecting with others through compassion and shared experience multiplies healing. Strength is not self-reliance alone. It is the courage to accept help, love, and forgiveness, transforming even your weakest moments into sources of resilience. These 3 takeaways capture the essence of Sheila Walsh's message. Honesty with yourself opens the door to healing. Small steps create lasting transformation. Grace provides the freedom and strength to live fully, even in the midst of brokenness. Thanks for listening to Book Buzz Reviews and Summaries.